So I recently read an article by the Rowntree Foundation, specifically about Wales and basically how it was progressing from a social economic perspective. And one of the most staggering statistic was that according to this research, there's been a dramatic increase in the level of extreme poverty. So there's a difference between poverty and extreme poverty. So poverty is basically extreme poverty is somebody who, for example, can't afford the basic necessities such as having a warm meal or a shower or buying all the or even shower gels, that kind of thing. So that's a very significant and disturbing trend to read, but this is the reality of modern day Wales. And obviously I can speak from a personal perspective about this, and I can say that I've always struggled to find good work opportunities here in Wales, and sometimes I had to kind of, lower my expectations on what type of work I could find. So I ended up doing, a lot of retail jobs, low-paying retail jobs, with the likes of Sainsbury's, Greggs, Tesco's, purely just to have a job, just to keep myself not just for earning an income, but also from being active, because after a certain amount of inactivity whereby you can't find a job that you desire or that you think has good benefits, you have to kind of be sensible enough to downgrade your expectations, and that's what I did. But ultimately, most of these jobs don't really give you a higher level of skills. It's not like, for example, if you work in a Greg's shop, you don't really learn how to bake. I mean, you only learn how to cook hot things and how to serve customers politely, but you don't earn any valuable hard skills like how to make, for example, the bakes, how to make the breads. It's all because how to make the cakes, because it all arrives either pre-made, as is the case of baguettes or other ingredients that you use to make the baguettes, or in the case of cakes, they would already be made, so you would only have to get the delivery in the morning and have it for you. So when you leave these jobs, you don't really leave with any meaningful skills. Like, that's differentiates yourself in a competitive, crowded market. And it's the same with Sainsbury's when working in most retail jobs. The only difference that I can make is if you're, for example, in your CV, that you can show that you always met expectations, you always did as you were asked to the best of your ability, and you were always reliable, so on time. You did your job, according to the instructions that you were trained to do. There's basically, in most retail jobs, there's no critical element, there's no creative element. You just have to follow policies and the way and instructions. So it's like a rule book on how things ought to be and how you have to conduct yourself. And it's pretty much, you become a mole of the company, but once you leave the company, you don't really have anything that you gain any tangible skills that you can kind of showcase to be worthy of anything major. You're not going to win awards for the skills that you get, or you're going to be head hunted, shall we say. But yeah, it's what it is. If you're looking, that's what I had to experience here in Wales, and I had to also experience prolonged periods of unemployment, particularly when you work in warehouse roles. So at Amazon, for example, for peak periods tend to be the Christmas period, and after that, if you're not a full-time employee, they let you go. And ultimately, when they let you go, you are unemployed and you have to find other jobs. And ultimately, working for Amazon, especially in a warehouse, isn't like, it's not really, doesn't look that special in your CV, but it demonstrates that you're a hard worker because the hours that you have to work there are long. But yeah, like I said, the major issue that I had here in Wales was finding continuity of work, finding a full-time work, and also finding well-paying work. I really, really struggled with that. And ultimately, it's down to personal ability as much as it is, obviously, I'm not particularly I'm not an extroverted person, and I realize in this world, being extroverted does have an advantage because you open up to people more, and in the service sector economy, that's based around a significant proportion of it is about how you build rapport, how you engage with people. It is, in my opinion, a distinct advantage to be an extroverted person rather than somebody who's more of an introvert. But obviously, introvert can have success if they are shown to be reliable, hardworking, and or willing to listen. But yeah, but like I said, the level of training as well. Most jobs you're trained in a couple of days, and then you just left to your own devices, and that's in a way a positive thing, but also negative because the company knows that ultimately if you leave the job, they can replace you, almost instantaneously. But yeah, like I said, I've worked for a good decade now. I've got experience of working, but I have to say that it's been a very underwhelming experience and definitely not something that I look back on with any sort of enjoyment or pride or positivity. But like I said, this is Wales for you, and that report of extreme poverty is probably a telling one that makes me think that it's probably not the best country to find well-paying jobs. But let me know what your experience is of being a worker here in Wales. Have you found it? Have you found the job that you were looking for? Are you happy with your current job, with the pay, with the hours? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Really, thank you.